Well, former U.S. President Donald Trump is due to surrender at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office later today on Tuesday. Now, the city of New York is taking security precautions, with the mayor telling potential rabble-rousers to behave. Trump is in New York City to face charges stemming from a probe into hush money paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels. He will likely be fingerprinted prior to appearing before a judge for an arraignment where he will plead not guilty. Trump, a 76-year-old Republican seeking to regain the presidency in 2024, is the first former U.S. president to face criminal charges. After the arraignment, Trump then will return to Florida and deliver remarks from his Mar-a-Lago this evening. All right, now let's get the very latest. We now cross to our correspondent, Sherwin Bryce-Pease, who is coming to us live from New York City. Sherwin, I'm sure it is quite a bustle this afternoon. Of course, it is a D-Day. We know that security is tight around the city. Paint a picture for us. What is currently happening now? And of course, what are we likely to see later during that arraignment?
Unati, as you might know, New York City is busy most days. Today feels different just based on the media contingent that is lined up outside this Manhattan Courthouse behind me over my right shoulder. There's a lot of scaffolding there, but certainly you cannot see from your vantage point just how much media, how many cameras, how many camera people, journalists have descended on this courtroom, anticipating the historic arrival of the former president of the United States to become the first former president ever to be criminally indicted. Just to choreograph how this will play out today, he will leave Trump Tower, which is about 6 kilometers from where we are. He will get into his convoy, his cavalcade that will accompany him, including a contingent of Secret Service agents that always accompany former presidents and presidents in this country. He will drive down here to the courthouse. He will go into the district attorney's office, District Attorney Alvin Bragg. He will be checked in, booked, if you will. We understand that fingerprints will be taken. We're not sure if we'll get a mugshot. There is some speculation that this might not happen, given the status of the former president. He will then spend some hours in that building ahead of the arraignment, which will happen at around 2:15 local time, which is about 8:15 Central African time. And then he will plead to some, we understand, more than 30 charges related to business fraud. We, of course, have yet to see that indictment. It has been filed under seal and will only be opened by the judge when Donald Trump is read the charges. The big news overnight was the judge ruling that no video cameras would be allowed in court, but he has allowed some still photography, 5 pool photographers, to take pictures of Trump arriving in court until the arraignment formally begins. So we will get a flavor of what is happening in court, but it's not going to be the O.J. Simpson trial where you're going to get, blow by blow broadcast live on television sets around the world. We will then see the president hopefully emerge, or we might not. He might get straight into a convoy and drive off to the airport here in New York, where he will board his private jet and then return to Florida, where he later this evening at around 8:15 local time, which is prime time in the United States, he will then address these charges for the first time. We also understand that Alvin Bragg, the district attorney, is also going to hold a press conference. So he will then give his thinking as to how this grand jury process evolved, and certainly why the grand jury voted last Thursday to indict the former president, making history as we'll see this political theater with some criminal elements play out behind us.
And Sherwin, as you mentioned, the district attorney, of course, Trump has launched a war of words against him, Alvin Bragg, following that grand jury indictment last week, saying that, in fact, Bragg should indict himself. Obviously, I'm sure Alvin Bragg will take that opportunity during that press briefing, to probably address just some of the utterances that have been made on the public scene, by Trump. I mean, Trump even going further, saying that this is a political witch hunt, essentially.
You're right. We actually haven't heard the prosecutor leading this investigation speak about the criminal indictment, right? That is not how justice, the criminal justice system works in the United States. Grand jury processes are closely held, very secure private affairs until prosecutors are ready to announce what their decision and their thinking is. We will get that thinking today. So what you have seen is the narrative being dominated by people criticizing this process, Donald Trump in the main, but also his Republican allies calling this a witch hunt, saying this is a subversion of the criminal justice system in the United States, that this is a political persecution. And so that has been dominating the narrative. And us as journalists then respond to people like, I said, but you haven't even seen the charges yet, right? We should wait until these 30-plus charges are revealed, and so we will get greater granular detail about how this process will unfold based on what we know to be in the indictment later today. No one knows, not even Donald Trump's lawyers know the details. We know it relates to some hush money payments and how that was tabulated in the books at the Trump organization that could relate to business fraud. But what the veracity of these charges is, why he believes he, as a prosecutor, was able to make history by indicting a former president for the first time in United States history, there's a lot of pressure at play here. And I think it does not escape Alvin Bragg that he needs to come out really and be very clear as to why he felt that this was necessary, given the level of criticism we are seeing play out in the United States today.
I want to touch on this point, Sherwin, before I let you go. Of course, we've seen social media has, of course, come out, just commenting on what is playing out. A lot of people suggesting that this is an opportunity that Trump will use to his advantage. I was speaking to an analyst yesterday saying that he will use this to his advantage, particularly because he does have political ambitions, as we know, heading up to the elections in 2024.
You were breaking up a little bit, but I think I got the gist of it. Essentially, Donald Trump is not going to miss an opportunity, given the fact that he is running for the Republican nomination in 2024. He has the media spotlight on him today. No one in the United States, in the main, is talking about any of the other Republican candidates that have announced that they are running for office. No one's talking about Ron DeSantis in Florida, one of the biggest frontrunners, although he hasn't announced yet, Nikki Haley and others. No one is giving them any in this conversation. And what you have also interestingly seen from some of these Republican contenders for that nomination they are very critical of Alvin Bragg, the prosecutorial misconduct, as they are describing it. They have not used this opportunity, which is interesting, to criticize the front runner in this race, which is curious, given that they want to win the Republican nomination and run possibly against Joe Biden in 2024. The level of criticism, they're not taking advantage of this moment yet. But wait until this indictment comes out. That might give them a little bit more clarity on what they can and cannot say based on the facts that is contained in that indictment.
All right, Sherwin, let's leave it there for now. Of course, we will be crossing to you throughout the day as we wait for that all-important moment. Sherwin Bryce-Pease coming to us live there from New York City. Thank you so much.